honored to be a part of this exhibition. So I have two drawings that are from my NIMBY series. That stands for Not My Backyard. It was a term that was coined within the environmental movement, and it talks about how even if something is good for environmental reasons, we tend to want to, some people want to hide those things away. For an example would be, wind turbines are very useful and good for, instead of using dirty energy, basically, to use wind turbines for energy source. But and they have them in Denmark in the ocean, but a lot of people are opposed to them, at least I know in Southern California they are, because it would mar their ocean view. But the potential benefit from it is could outweigh that. But we tend to want to hide away the pesky, potentially good things that could help us. So my whole series is based on that term. So I made notes because I don't want to forget anything, so just remind me while I refer to them every once in a while. So I'll start with this one. It's NIMBY National Park. This piece came about after going to Yosemite a few times, so it has a very obvious reference to Yosemite with the Half Dome and El Capitan. So I based it on photos that I took from Yosemite, and then like all my pieces, it has this dystopic theme that is based in reality, based on a real place like this one, but then I take it a step further and go into basically a world, like I depict what I hope actually never happens. So it's a scary, disturbing version of reality that will hopefully never come about. So this one is based on Yosemite, and then I included a lot of elements that, of course, are not actually there, but and hopefully will never be in our national parks. But things like the wind turbines and oil drills, and I included people that are seemingly unaware or ignoring those elements. They're just in nature, and but yet they're unaware and not paying attention to the graffiti and the oil drills. And then there's a person in a bear suit, but they're photographing the person in the bear suit and not the actual bear on the tree. And and then of course the man with with that sign, and just taking pictures of him, and and then I like to incorporate little details like that, and contemporary things like the barbecue taco truck, and then other oddball elements. All images I like to pull from imagery that I've kind of been keeping in my mind for a long time, or images that I save, like literal images, photos that I've taken over the years. And so I have all this source material that even if I don't use it right away, it eventually makes its way into one of my pieces. So this piece and this one are like that, where it's an amalgamation of imagery that has been there for years and wanted to eventually put into a piece. Then the cell phone towers are a consistent theme in my work, especially the ones that are semi-disguised as trees. I like to incorporate those. I love the palm tree ones that we have in California, and then the evergreen types. So that's pretty much always there in my work. Then this one is based on a wetlands area that's in Huntington Beach, and I would pass it all the time, and it looks very similar to this. I mean, some elements of it are based on reality, like this water treatment plant and the housing development that they keep building, adding more and more houses, and then the oil drills. But I was just always amazed that this wetlands could survive, you know, and like any area of nature that just keeps getting encroached upon, you know, slowly we're getting closer and closer to it and edging it out. But the birds especially manage to still, you know, survive and thrive in there. So then I created this drawing based on that idea that nature manages to somehow keep doing its thing, you know, despite us. It manages to adapt around our intrusion. This piece has, you know, just all kinds of elements like the skateboarder practicing on the oil drill area, and the jogger, and people using this space, but then the animals as well, utilizing it the way they need to. I included this little creature, this little beast, more as a intuitive move to, some people have described it as almost like it's a sentinel, or it's a guardian in a sense. It's not necessarily menacing, but I included that as probably, you know, something akin to that. Yeah, that it's not. Maybe it's the creature of the grass. It's, you know, the creature that's there to, you know, kind of keep watch over everything else. And then this you know, is based on a photo that I actually took in a wetlands area of these blue herons, and they built a nest high up in a tree, but I changed it into a cell phone tower and has a surveillance camera. And I like to include all those little tiny details in my work of more surveillance cameras and graffiti, trash on the ground that has restaurant, like fast food chain logos on it. It's fun for me to incorporate all these little details to basically reward the viewer, like to, you know, get up close and to you know, have that to bring you in. And and also I like to use humor and whimsy in my pieces as well, because I don't want to beat people over the head with, you know, the environmental message. Like, I want it to sink in, and, you know, for people to kind of think about it, but to not, you know, be, you know, it to be heavy-handed, basically. And I included this beehive that's in a tree, but the bees are all robotic bees, and I did it after I'd read about that there are prototype bees that are being created, miniature robots that may, you know, I mean, worst case scenario would have to replace honeybees if they go extinct for pollinating purposes. And so I have this very contradictory fascination with that, I think it's fascinating we humans can come up with stuff like that, but the reason why we have to is terrifying. I mean, we shouldn't have to be creating things like that. We need to figure out a way to stop, you know, the decimation of other species. So, and not only ones that are useful to us, like honeybees. So, I think that's everything I think I wanted to cover about the pieces. So, if anybody has questions, I would be happy to take them.
I think actually where you left off was a good segue into Dawn's piece, and certainly I